All right. Up just a few minutes early, and it looks like going. Let me take a look and see that Facebook. Okay, YouTube is live. All right, we're live. So, now, this is where we wanted to be at the beginning. Everything's looking right. I just need to have one other page open just to make sure that see your comments coming in before I switch to this other page. All right, let's minimize that window a little bit. Not quite so big, even though it has a ton of tabs open. Down and wait for the comments. Okay, cool. This is going the way I was hoping it would finally. I did try and throw in a new feature today, which is the Discord channel. And I don't know if that's going to work or not. We've got subtitles going. Discord channel is open, but I have never used Discord before. I have no experience with it at all. But I like the idea of it. It's used quite heavily by the online gaming community. And I've thought about for some of my students in my online streams, getting them to use it. And the very first time I tried to get this channel going both on YouTube and Facebook at the same time, I had someone come in and ask, would it make sense to add Discord to add so you're not just listening to me talk to the camera for all this time? Well, step by step, we'll get that going. We'll get that in there. It's been good 3 or 4 weeks now since I've changed studios. Still working hard. My first new adult class has opened. Unfortunately, things have been a little bit quiet with my first adult class. I think the loss of location and some of the things that were happening, a lot of them kind of lost a little bit of the steam, but still making good progress. I've added a lot of cool new content to the course, but while I'm in transition right now, and until I have a dedicated space, let those guys have a break. So this is, I'm going to do this regularly. This will be the Friday session in English, and it's going to be primarily on Facebook, but I'm also streaming live to YouTube at the same time. And then I'm going to go back to Tuesday nights. I missed the last Tuesday nights, but I am going to go back to Tuesday night broadcasts on these same channels simultaneously again, to develop content to help in the world building, because I know that it will be a lot more interesting and entertaining if I'm building this world with you. The whole idea for me was to build a world that instead of starting Dungeons and Dragons in a medieval European world, put it into a mythical Chinese setting with all of the different races, and even going one step further and trying to make classes that were more Chinese than the initial classes in the player's handbook in Dungeons and Dragons. So let me switch over this screen and I'll show you what I'm working on. So this is World Anvil, and with World Anvil, it's a great location for building worlds. And you know what? I just want to test that this comment is working real quick. How can I get this? I want to see that this browser chat that I set up is going through. I don't see it coming up yet, but there might be about a 10. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, it does come up. There's about a 10-second delay, but it does eventually come up. Okay. So let's make that a little bit bigger so that I can see it. All right. Okay, so I used in sticking with my adult class the Stranger English theme. Again, playing off Stranger Things. I found a World Anvil theme that is Stranger Worlds. So I get to keep it's the same similar branding and feel. And this is a great quote by Guy, who I do the live show with every Wednesday night, except for the coming up the 1st of July. That day he needs to take off for another commitment that he has. But we're going to actually start doing 2-hour stream instead of 1-hour stream, because we realize we just don't get enough done. Now let me repeat one more time in case you're coming into this. I can see the chat window, but there's about a 10-second delay from when you type in your chat and I see it on the screen here. So if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Okay. All right. So let's show you what I've got in here so far. Now, I've put in a lot of information about the basics of playing Dungeons and Dragons. And the reason for that, I've gone through quite a bit of research on the benefits of playing games like this for language learning and also for problem solving, helping self-esteem, teamwork, and I'm slowly feeling out what products I can give to the market. So I have my new adult class now, which a company has hired me to come in and teach their company English with a focus on writing, business English, and I'm still using that with this role-playing game course. I am pitching for a summer camp course right now. Going to kids from age, I think I put 7 and up. Yeah, 7 to 9, 10 to 12, and 13 to 15, 3 different age groups. Because I started helping out last week one of my friend's schools, and I noticed that the level of English among these students is already very high. But the type of work that they were doing in just grammar exercises, um, so there were a couple of students that it was just way too easy for them. Like, um, there was this P1 girl yesterday, and the test was just not. They were already aiming 2 levels above. They were giving her P3 level English, and she, it was nothing to her. And she, she's local Chinese family, but the family speaks a lot of English at home. Um, she's the oldest in P1. She has two younger brothers, but a really, really bright, really smart girl. But some of the other students, um, they needed more practice on hearing natural English because with any language, just memorizing grammar patterns doesn't teach you how to use the language in the real world. And that's where this course comes in. Because while we're playing a game, they're going to hear me as the teacher, as the dungeon master, speaking a lot of more natural English. And then the students are going to be introduced to patterns that they can use and repeat. And they're going to have to think of things on their own to describe what they want to do, what they want, what their character thinks, what their character's feeling. And the cool thing is when they're pretending to be that character, they're not so self-conscious about themselves and what they're talking about. So it's a very good setting for students to go and learn in. Um, and then now, for the first year that I was preparing this course, this is where the World Anvil thing came. I was thinking that I wanted to simplify the game and make it more interesting, but I started realizing a couple months ago when I was helping out at Genius Garden that a lot of the students there, they didn't care about the class of their character, the race, the background. It was all new and fun and exciting to them, and they were really enjoying it. So I could just use the regular work. But now with this YouTube and Facebook, I can continue to develop um, my own world that I will be using. I will go back to using this world for some of the YouTube stream in Cantonese. We're testing it out right now with just standard D&D characters, published by Wizards of the Coast published module, just to get the feel so that my actors know how to use the Roll20 system and work together in this setting. And there's been one technical problem after another. Eventually, we're going to get a perfect episode out. Should be the next one. Should be. Okay. So this is World Anvil page. Let's see. I didn't show the URL. I'll share the URL later. Just in the comments. But I'm looking forward to people to coming in and read this. My first adult class got a lot of time testing these out. So here I go through the steps of making a character, and here we can see the world that I created, the 4 primary races, and I'm actually starting to change that, replacing halflings with tabaxi, because even though there were quite a few people who saw The Hobbit and enjoyed the movies, not as many people I'm noticing in Hong Kong were as into the books as I was as a kid. Um, the movie and the movies were a big failure compared to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Hobbit trilogy was a major flop for many reasons. Um, so halflings and hobbits are one I'm gonna uh, put on the back burner for now. I'm not gonna take them out, but I'm not gonna make them one of the primary ones. But one thing that I was playing with in this world was to make, um, because it's a Chinese-based society, each of the major races speak a different dialect of Chinese. So the humans speak Cantonese, the elves speak Mandarin, the dwarves are speaking Japanese, um, because I based the dwarves on the um, and I can't think of what they're called it right off the top of my head. There's a name, a mythical dwarf type creature in Japanese culture, um, I kind of use those as a background for this character, and then uh, the halflings are speaking Hakka, because I thought it made a lot of sense for their culture to base halfling culture on Hakka culture, and then I took from an OSR, old school revival, old school D&D. They take and make it into four simple classes to begin with. And my four classes were the warrior, the scholar, the initiate, and the rascal. So very Chinese feel to it. And then when you get to level 3, you get more options to expand your character. This talks about how that works. And is this World Anvil site is primarily for my students. Anyone taking this class will be working off of this world. Okay, this is something that I never finished for my students, but I'm going to have to put together with my new group. I'm waiting to see what background stories they write for me for their first homework assignment. So I'll look forward to that next week. But there's information about some of the different game mechanics. I was playing around with another item from Five Torches Deep, which was their inventory and carrying capacity system, encumbrance system, but for now it's a little too complicated. For new players, I want to keep things as simple as possible. Now the magic system, this is where I spent a lot of work and time and made it way more difficult than I should have. But because I made custom classes, so there's the two core kinds of magic. There's the divine magic, which is in traditional D&D the clerics play, and then what I call scholarly magic, which is like your wizards or in old school D&D the magic user would use. And I use kind of the same system. Divine magic is my initiates classes, and they have to pray to their deities for their spells. And then the scholarly magic, I also took a very Chinese system that I'm playing with, separating, instead of the different schools of magic in traditional D&D, I'm separating into the 5 different elements. So wood, fire, earth, water, and metal. And then making the way those 5 elements interact with each other, and so that a scholar has to use certain kinds of, so he has to focus in one element, and then he can borrow from the related elements, but he can't do anything from the opposing element. That type of thing, and that's a system that I'll continue to work on, but I will need a lot more help from you guys. Okay, well, this was a much better result today from what I was going for. I know I kind of broke the habit that people were in, and people were coming in to see this stream quite regularly in the past, but I will be back on schedule. This will be happening regularly again, unless I'm filming, because I do have a movie project starting next week for the next couple of months. But for the most part, I'm going to keep these regular as long as I'm able to get to my studio and work. Anyway, if you missed it live, please leave some comments. I'm really looking forward to your comments and building this together. So today was just kind of an introduction. I'll keep filling stuff in when I get time, and then developing more as we work together, especially in the Tuesday night section in Cantonese. I will be using the Chinese version of this page. So I have two worlds in World Anvil, one for Chinese and one for English. And all right, well, that's pretty good minutes today. So hope you look forward to all this, and I hope to chat with you about it later. All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.